fans, welcome back to Room 237, and I got another Christmas-themed horror film. So my last review was of Santa's Sleigh, which was a 2005 sort of dark comedy slasher film about a killer Santa. And as bad as that movie was, it still had a sense of humor, was able to laugh at itself. This one, though, this is actually a really good movie about a sort of killer Santa, more I guess the antithesis to Santa, that also has a sense of humor, but is actually just a really good movie. 2000 and actually has taken this sort of folklore character, made it a household name from this film alone, and now we see this character in a bunch of other stuff, is 2015's Krampus, which I did not see this either when it first came out. I was not really that interested. To me, it looked kind of like, it is PG-13, but there are good things I can say about this PG-13 film. I thought it looked sort of like a Blumhousey kind of PG-13 film. I was kind of interested, but not enough to actually go and seek it out. It is one I wanted to get last year to do, but I just never got around to it, so I got it for this year. And I have to say, I really enjoyed it. Of course, Krampus is more, not exactly Santa, in more Central Europe. The folklore is Santa still delivers presents to good children. Krampus is the horror version that punishes. Not quite, I guess similar to, well, not really Silent Night, Deadly Night. He doesn't go around saying punish and killing them, but I love the look of Krampus in this, though. And it was written and directed by Michael Dougherty, who wrote and directed Trick or Treat. And yeah, he wrote Superman Returns, which I'm not a fan of. He did direct the last Godzilla to come out. I think he's writing the Zilla vs. Kong movie that's supposed to be coming out. I did review Trick or Treat this past Halloween, and I will say, where Trick or Treat is just oozing with Halloween atmosphere, this film does just as much with Christmas. The atmosphere of this film was one of the things I was most impressed with, and I will get to that. The creature effects I'll get to as well. The humor of this film, it's not so much humor like Santa's Sleigh, because one, it's actually funny. It's not like so bad you can chuckle at it, or more so laughing at itself. It takes itself seriously enough, but it doesn't blend necessarily the horror and comedy together. Very little, but the first half is more like a mean-spirited comedy or satire, both on commercialism and just the bad side of being around family you don't really like on the holidays. And then it becomes the Krampus horror film. So, released in 2015. I remember when this came out. Put out by Legendary Pictures. It does have a good cast. It has Adam Scott, which I like him in everything. I am a big Parks and Rec fan, so I always call him Ben Wyatt. But I do like him in more serious stuff. Like, he had a minor role in Black Mass with Johnny Depp, which I liked. Of course, Ben Wyatt in Parks. Of course, Step Brothers. He was in the fourth Hellraiser film. That was his first movie. Toni Collette This was before Hereditary. David Kitchener, who is Todd Packer from The Office, basically playing the typical David Kitchener character, the sort of gun-obsessed redneck. It's almost like he's doing an Uncle Eddie type character in this film. Conchata Farrell, who, she was one of the neighborhood ladies on Edward Scissorhands. She was, hate to admit I know this, but the housemaid on 2.5 Men. She's a sassy, sort of miserable to be around aunt. And then Adam Scott and Toni Collette's 2 kids. MJ Anthony plays the son Max. Stefania LaVey Owen is their older daughter Beth. And then Kitchener and his wife Allison Tolman, they have a slew of kids. They have these 2 girls who they try to make boys. This one boy we get the idea he's so dumb that he's mute. A baby and a bulldog. And so big family. Love the atmosphere. It does take place in like a very nice, big house neighborhood. But it starts out with this slow motion or still frame of this satire of how violent parents and shoppers get on like Black Friday, Christmas shopping, like picking up products and hitting other parents with it and storming the stores with the song beginning to look a lot like Christmas is playing. So right from there you get, this is a very mean-spirited but painfully accurate satire on all the negative aspects of the Christmas season. And Dougherty does it just as well with Christmas as he does with Halloween and Trick or Treat, which is one of the things I really like about it. It's not a movie like, say, Silent Night, Bloody Night, where it just happens to take place on Christmas but doesn't feel it. This oozes Christmas atmosphere, and it's just as Christmassy as Trick or Treat is Halloween. The atmosphere is great. The acting is great as well. The humor is well done, and it does sort of distance itself from the horror. Some of the smaller scares, it kind of blends, but the more serious stuff, it really separates it. And then we see that there's some sort of Christmas pageant going on at the mall where their son Max is attacking this other kid for making fun of his belief in Santa, which he still has. So they take him home, and they're awaiting, I'm just going to call him Todd Packer. Todd Packer, who is his wife, and Toni Collette are sisters. And the whole family does not like them at all. They are kind of like Cousin Eddie's family in the vacation films. And they bring the aunt, Conchata Farrell, without telling them. Also, there's the grandmother, who is who's Ben Wyatt's mother. She's German. She's really close with the son Max. And one thing that is weird is she speaks German, he speaks English, but they both understand each other. And she very much is devout with Christmas. And she's the one that tries to keep his Christmas faith going. Asking him if he's written his Christmas letter, make sure you finish it. Then the other family comes over, and they're obnoxious, and they're tearing down everything, making fun of, the high-end food, everything else. The two daughters are named Stevie and Jordan. Of course, they're wearing camo, and we get the idea Todd Packer wants them to be boys. They find Max's Christmas letter. They read it aloud on the Christmas table, which his Christmas letter is really sad, but you can tell his heart's in the right place. Talks about he wants his parents to fall back in love. Have Christmas the way we used to. He's not asking for toys or materialistic things. The girls keep calling him Maxi Pad because I guess he has a lot of feelings and he's not very tough. They make fun of him to the point where he attacks them. And when they do fight, there is a glass breaking sound effect, but there's no glass that's broken. I don't know if that's a goof or an intended joke. But he runs up in his room, he tears up the letter, throws it outside, and it sort of magically gets swooped up, and a gust of wind goes up into the clouds. We see a dark cloud come over, blizzard hits, so we know Krampus is now coming after him. And just this whole blizzard is done, so every time someone looks out the window, there's frost on it. This is one of those movies like The Shining and Hateful Eight. I will put it up there with those, as when you're watching it and it shows outside, you kind of, like, it gives you a chill. You feel the atmosphere in this movie. So the power's out. There's no way to occupy everybody, so they all kind of have to be around each other. The daughter, Beth, asked to go see her boyfriend, who's a couple blocks away, just to see if there's any power. He hasn't texted back, see what's going on. They say okay, even though it is like a crazy, shining, Hateful Eight blizzard. So she's walking, and she hears the sound of sleigh bells and chains. And this is one of my favorite scenes in the whole film. She kind of looks over, and it's like a suburban area with these big houses. She looks over, and on the roof of this house we see Krampus. And throughout most of the film, he is obscured by blizzard and shadow. But we see it's like this big, sort of like a Santa's red and white cloak, but he's in shadow. And again, the blizzard looks great. I mean, you can barely make out shapes of houses and cars and Krampus. You can see his giant horns. And the creature effects were done by, what was their name? I just had it. Weta Workshop. Now, Weta Workshop has done, I think, all of Peter Jackson's films since Dead Alive. So they've done all the Lord of the Ring and Hobbit films. They did do District 9. They did older that's not Peter Jackson, but I love the creature effects of District 9, Dead Alive, Meet the Feebles. There is some CGI in here, but it's when it's absolutely needed. And I don't mind how it's done. The CGI looks fine, but the actual creature effects are creepy looking, well made, and for PG-13, like I'd put this up there with like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, with like it wants to be an R-rated so bad, but for whatever reason, I guess they had to make it PG-13, I guess to reach the widest audience. And I guess this was the first Christmas-themed horror film to be released since Black Xmas of 2006. So 9 years. I mean, that's how much faith in audiences for Christmas horror films had gone down. And now we get one almost every year. So I'll get more into the creature effects, but she's walking down the street in this blizzard, just makes out this big, shadowy, horned figure with chains. And then we get this excellent shot of her. She screams, and it's like this panning shot of her running down the sidewalk with the houses in the background. And we just see Krampus running and jumping from roof to roof, parallel with her. Love that shot. Done really well. She hides under a van. Well, first she looks in the van. It was a package courier who's frozen. She hides under the van. Then there's a jack-in-the-box. And when it opens, we see the clown kind of slowly come up. And then we get an aerial view of the van with the jack-in-the-box going to get her and the van shaking. And then the family starts to kind of guess what's going on. Toni Collette is like, she should have been back by now. Adam Scott is, she'll be fine. 40 seconds later, Max comes down. He's like, it's dark out. She's not back yet. And then they get worried. I really don't have any complaints with the writing, but the communication with the different languages and scenes like that are really the only things with writing that I guess I could say. So Ben Wyatt wants to go check things out. He knows Todd Packer has guns and a Hummer. So he asks if his Hummer can make it. So they go out, they get to the boyfriend's house, and they see that the inside is all icy and snowy. Things are all messed up. Not sure what's going on. There's a gingerbread man on the fridge with a knife in it, which is good foreshadowing because we don't quite... It looks like a weird gingerbread man, but we'll see more of that later. So then they get back outside. Oh, and then a great effect of the chimney, like the wall, it's like split with the bricks coming out down through the chimney. They make it back out to the Hummer, which has been demolished. So he has this big rifle. It gives Ben a big, I think it was a 357 pistol. They're walking around, and something grabs a hold of Todd Packer, pulls him down, and like, it's under the snow, but it's like dragging him, then about to pull him under. Ben grabs a hold of him, and the sound effects, it's like these wet, crunchy, chewy, bone-crunching sounds that you would not get in a PG-13. I mean, this is not like a PG-13 like the Black Christmas remake or the Prom Night remake, where everyone is killed silently off-screen or cutscene. We get the sound effects and creature effects, and we see people being killed. Like, this is tiptoeing, hovering the line of an R rating. So, I mean, this is a PG-13 that, you know, this is as PG-13 as, say, like, Gremlins is PG. And in a way, it is kind of like Gremlins. It is like the next... There is a whole act where it is these Christmas things attacking the family, where it is a lot like Gremlins. It is the next humorous, Christmas-themed, sort of wild movie. So then they get back to the house. His leg's all chewed up. We see it. Patches it up, and the grandmother just says, keep the fire hot. She's been watching the fire very diligently. And again, we get more, and also more and more snowmen appear outside. Which I love every time they look out the window, we get that frost on the window. It just helps the atmosphere. And also, growing up in Maine, I know what late afternoon looks like during a snowstorm. that perfect hue of blue that they got for the outside during the snowstorm, that dark blue, perfect, absolutely perfect. A lot like The Shining and Hateful Eight. It sounds like a small detail, but that does help the atmosphere quite a bit. Getting the amount of daylight and the right color of like dark blue that everything is outside during a snowstorm. So they board up all the windows. They decide to stay close together in the living room. Which at this point, Todd Packer says, I'll stay watch. You all get some sleep. He falls asleep, and we see this hook come down the chimney with a gingerbread man on it. So he looks like the fat kid from Bad Santa. You know, curly hair, little tiny Napoleon Dynamite mouth. No lines. Because there was a line earlier in the film when the daughter and Toni Collette are talking. She was like, you know, even you said that they shouldn't be allowed to breed. And she's like, that's not what I said. I said they should be given a test to see if they should be allowed to breed. So we get the idea this kid is so dumb or sort of inbred that he can't even speak. But this hook with the gingerbread man comes down. He grabs it. He bites it. The gingerbread man comes to life. And as far as the creature effects go, the gingerbread men in this are CGI. But I don't mind the look of it. And I get the idea why, because they are so animated and fast moving, and they're a lot like the little ashes from Army of Darkness. I know that was practical and green screen, but you know, I don't automatically hate the gingerbread men for being CGI. I thought they were handled very fine. So he swings around on the hook and the chain, ties the fat kid up. He gets sucked up the chimney, which, you know, Toni Collette and Todd Packer try pulling him down, but it doesn't work. He gets sucked up. And then the two tomboy daughters think they hear their cousin Beth up in the attic, so they go to check it out. And this creature effect I thought was fucking creepy. Oh, also, if you watch Nostalgia Critics Review, there is a joke about the snowmen where he says, looks like Stephen Gamble picked up snow sculpting. For those that don't know, Stephen Gamble is the illustrator of the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark series. And yeah, the snowmen do look that creepy. Like something out of Scary Stories. As do not all the Krampus toys or things that come to life. The Jack-in-the-Box, yes. So then they all hear noise downstairs and the girl screaming. So their mother and Toni Collette and Ben Wyatt all run up. And we see this Jack-in-the-Box that has now grown. Like, and think of that one creature in the movie 9 with like the huge sack body that takes the dolls inside itself and sews itself back up. Kind of looks like that. And the clown Jack-in-the-Box head has like it opens like this, but then the bottom part is like split, so it gets like this flowery opening with a bunch of teeth. And we hear like it's swallowing one of the daughters. Like when they come in, its mouth is wide open. Sorry about that. Oh, I should actually plug this in. While they come in, it's actually swallowing one of the daughters, and we just see her shoes sticking out. And we hear like the digestion sounds. Again, R-rated, creepy sounds. And this thing has like rows and rows of sharp teeth, and we see like, looks like the inside of a mouth. Very well done effects. So that's come to life. This teddy bear, evil teddy bears come to life. this one Christmas tree angel from hell that looks like the Tiffany doll from Seed of Chucky. Dark circles around the eyes, bird feathers. They're attacking all of them. They have to fight back. They all get back downstairs, and now the elves. And the elves are creepy as well. They're sort of cloaked, hunched over elves. They look like little, like small versions of Krampus with these creepy porcelain face masks. Conchata Farrell gets tied up. She's like, see you in hell, then the chain rips her outside. The baby, the little infant, I think gets taken by the elves. So this movie's pretty ballsy. I mean, we don't just see people getting killed off screen or cutscenes. It's kids, like teens or preteens. We don't really see what happens to the infant, but we get the idea that the infant's been taken. Oh, and then, actually, before all that, before the fat kid gets sucked up the chimney with the gingerbread man, the grandmother does give the history of Krampus, or her experience with it. And like I said in Santa's Sleigh, where it's like a Rankin Bass stop motion animation, this is also stop motion, but done more Tim Burton, which really fits the tone. Which we see the young grandmother stop motion. As a child, she has like a stuffed Santa doll. All the other people and everything else look like cardboard 2D of silhouettes. Which we just kind of see these very cardboard 2D movements. It really does fit the tone. I'm a huge sucker for stop motion anyway, but I really like how this was set up. And also the sky and everything is this 2D sort of construction paper, cardboard kind of stop motion. But, you know, we get this during some sort of depression in Germany. People take the bread that she's been given out in the town. They take it from her. Family gets mad at her. And, you know, she gets berated. They take her Santa doll and they rip it in half. And, because of that, she, I guess, kind of lost her faith in Christmas. So that night, Krampus comes down, and we see him as, like, the black construction paper of silhouette. Kills everyone in her family, and she's given a little dark Christmas ball that says Krampus as a reminder of what happens when you lose hope and give up on Christmas spirit and Christmas faith. So she tells him that story. Which, it's kind of funny because right after that, Todd Packer is like, you believe this senile horse shit? Like, this is crazy. And it's just like, dude, after what you've seen, you're going to say that's crazy? I mean, yeah, he was bitten and pulled by something. He didn't actually see creatures, but I really like how that stop motion was set up. She's fully 3D, like, say, like Coraline. But all the other people, the adults and Krampus, are these, like, sideways 2D silhouette cutouts. It tonally was very well done. Even the buttons on her shirt are like spirals. Huge sucker for stop motion, but that was done very well. So yeah, then we get the kid getting sucked up the chimney. Then we get the two daughters up in the attic with the Jack-in-the-Box, the teddy bear, the tree angel. they come downstairs, and actually before, while that's going on, Todd Packer is attacked by 3 gingerbread men. More CGI. I mean, they have like a nail gun, and they're shooting at him, and they have these evil smiles, and like these little tiny, little Ash laughs from Army of Darkness. Again, the CGI, it was needed. I see why it would have been easier to go that route. So I have nothing against the CGI there. The rest of the creatures are all practical. And I mean, for the budget, they look great too. It was made on a $15 million budget. So it still looks pretty well done. So, and then that's when the elves come in. They take the baby and Conchata Ferrell. And that's when Ben Wyatt says, we have to get to the abandoned plow truck, which him and Todd Packer saw earlier when they went out. And that's when the family's like, okay, fine. He's like, just get in and just drive. Look for lights, look for people, look for power, anything. The grandmother refuses to go. Once they get outside, she says her, I love you, never give up faith. Shuts the door, barricades it, stands in front of the chimney because she wants to face Krampus. And that's when we see Krampus for the first time up close and realized, and he is creepy looking. Great effect. I mean, he's got like the big horns, this big like hunched, imagine like a Santa cloak. He's got the Santa beard, but he's got this gray sunken in face, these sunken in eyes with bags, like these red eyes, and this like perpetual open jaw, like almost like the Screaming Lady painting or like Ghostface, but yeah, like a petrified Santa with these long Krampus fingers. He like touches her face with his nail, sticks his like reptilian tongue out, and then he takes out his bag, his equivalent of the Santa bag, opens it, and we get a quick glimpse of these evil Christmas, classic Christmas toys jumping out at the camera. So they're all trying to get out to the snowplow, but of course, they get there, and then the rest of the family's getting pulled under by whatever's under the snow. Oh, also at one point, I think the people they take are the ones that get turned into the snowmen. Because after the kid is sucked up to the chimney, there's a snowman that looks kind of like him. And the camera and the reactions kind of goes that route. And that first snowman especially was very Stephen Gamble looking. So they all get pulled under, but first Ben Wyatt has the I love you, go ahead without me scene where he kisses Toni Collette and the son Max, and he just starts shooting at all the snow tremor things coming at him. Till eventually he runs out of ammo, and then we see him get pulled under. Kind of reminded me of when Jim Halpert got killed in A Quiet Place, spoiler alert. I like this more than A Quiet Place, I will say that. I liked A Quiet Place. I actually thought it was well made and well done, except for the creature effects. I didn't really like the creatures. Creature effects in this are way better. So that happens. Then they get to the snowplow. The rest of the family gets pulled under. It's the one girl cousin and Max in the plow truck. It won't start. She gets taken away. And eventually he loses. Krampus shows up and gives him the the Krampus bell. gives it to him as if he's now like the grandmother because he lost his faith. But it was wrapped up in his ripped up letter. But then he runs after them and he finds this meeting of Krampus and the elves and he yells, "Hey, asshole!" He says he takes back his Christmas wish. He says, "I want everything to be back the way it was. Take me instead." Krampus picks him up, holds him over this pit of hell, kind of wipes his tear away from him. Well, first comes up to him, wipes the tear away from him, and then kind of like laughs. All the elves laugh. Picks him up over this pit of hell, in which case Max says, "I'm sorry." As if to say, "I'm sorry I lost faith in you and Santa and Christmas." Gets dropped into hell, wakes up in his bed, looks outside, everything seems fine, comes downstairs, the whole family's there. He gives his "I love you," "I love you, I love you," everything's great. He opens up a present, and it's the Krampus ball. At which case, Ben Wyatt looks at it, Toni Collette looks at it, and the camera pans around. Everyone else just kind of gets quiet and looks somber. We get like dissonant, kind of muffled, echoey sound effects of what have happened throughout the film before from each character that the camera goes over, as if they're starting to remember what happened. And then, of course, the camera pulls back, outside the house, outside the neighborhood. And then we're inside a snow globe, which pulls back even further and further. And we see there's a, Santa's workshop almost, a creepy one, full of snow globes with houses. Which could mean, are they in... The way I took it was, okay, they are in a perpetual Christmas morning. I guess he got his wish back. Like, he has his family. I don't know what happens when they get taken as punishment. Or maybe he didn't grant the wish recant. And this is what happens when they get taken. They get put in this perpetual Christmas where they'll wake up every day and it's the same Christmas over and over again. Maybe they'll remember, maybe they won't. And that's what he does with the houses that he collects, I guess. And that's how Krampus keeps an eye on the family. And then all the evil toys that we saw throughout the film that in CGI jump at the camera for one last thing. The way I take it, at least, is they're in a perpetual Christmas. I don't think it is more like I'm sparing you the way the grandmother was, because the grandmother did live her life. So I don't think it's like... I think they still did get taken by Krampus and his elves. Maybe it's probation or whatever. But I think they're in a perpetual, never-ending Christmas that will just keep repeating every day. And that's how he keeps his eye on them. But I really like this film. And I thought it was a perfect blend of comedy and horror. Not all the jokes worked. There were some jokes, like some of the jokes by Conchata Ferrell weren't that funny. I really liked the mean-spirited satire of both commercialism and just how much family can suck on the holidays. Like, even the scene after Max gets made fun of for his Christmas letter, Ben goes up to talk to him, and he's like, Christmas is we spend time with people we have nothing in common with. And Max is like, but why? And he's like, okay, you got me there. So even the heart-to-heart isn't very warm. And yeah, sometimes there'll be jokes during the smaller scares, but it knows what scares to take seriously. Like the part with the daughter outside seeing Krampus on the rooftops, and my favorite shot of the film with her running and Krampus running and jumping from rooftop to rooftop parallel with her. Loved that. The creature effects from Weta Productions on Krampus. The Jack in the Box was particularly creepy. Even that teddy bear, sure. The angel, not so much. But even the CGI gingerbread man, I thought was fine. You know, it was CGI when they needed it. It didn't go overboard with CGI. There is an F-bomb in here. You know, the grandmother says something in German, and then the daughters ask what she says, and Conchata Ferrell says, she's saying we're fucked. You know, it's almost like it's mocking its PG-13 rating. It's really poking that R rating, which I respect. The violence, I mean, when someone gets attacked and we hear the stabbing sounds or the chewing or, you know, the bones, and it sounds like R-rated kills or attacks. The greatest thing I can say, next to the creature effects, is the atmosphere. The atmosphere is what really sucked me in. Again, the frost on the windows, just the color blue of the outside and like that late afternoon is pitch perfect. The way the snow, you know, the sound of the wind, the snow, the way it obscures even buildings across the street and really silhouettes everything if you can see it. It's one of those movies that will kind of give you a chill and make you, you know, because the cold atmosphere is done so well. I put it up there with The Shining and Hateful Eight. Just very well done, cold, snowy atmosphere. And as far as just Christmas atmosphere or Christmas aesthetic, I mean, I got to give it to Michael Dougherty. He did just as well here with Christmas as he did with Halloween and Trick or Treat. The guy really nailed it. And yeah, it got really mixed reviews when it came out because tonally, I don't think people were quite ready for it. Like, well, it's comedy, but it's horror. It's PG-13, but it feels like R. It got very mixed reviews, but over the years, it's become more and more popular. And I know the Krampus figure has appeared in, like, American Christmas Horror Story, other Krampus-related films. I think there's a 2013 Krampus film, but it wasn't theatrical. I mean, I've gone on for almost 45 minutes about this. There's just a lot of good things to say. I really had fun with Krampus. The look of Krampus, the creature effects, and the atmosphere are things I can definitely give it. But yeah, I think I've gone on enough about this. I'm going to start repeating myself, but this is something I think like Nightmare Before Christmas or Gremlins or Silent Night, Deadly Night that I can see myself watching every year. It does nail the commercialism. It nails how much it can suck being around family. And then with the horror, it really does immerse you in its blizzardy atmosphere and its horror. And it has that creepy sort of perpetual ending. But yeah, I really enjoyed Krampus. I wasn't expecting much, but so now whenever people say both CGI and PG-13, two things I normally do not like with horror, give them this. The CGI was used as needed and worked. The PG-13, it felt like an R with this. So, yeah. Good CGI, good PG-13, good Christmas horror film. I really enjoyed Krampus. So, thank you for watching.